6 months, 4 clients, 6 to 7K a month.
That was it.
Yeah. That was it, huh?
That was it.
All
And
right,
that's
good.
and we beat it, bro. You know.
Nice. What was the time of our meeting? Let me see when this document was created. So it was created on 19th of July. So it's 6 months exactly.
Perfect, bro. So
and today is 18th of January.
Exactly, bro. We couldn't have planned this.
So yeah, and July is 6th, 7th, yeah, which is exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean 6 months. Sorry, exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So at the time, so when we did this 6 months ago, I had gotten my first client, right? And I had a client.
June and July, yeah. June and July.
I got my first client like June 19th. You know, I wanted to do this. Thank you, man, because when I was starting my business last year, you and I connected at this conference. We kind of, you know, kept going. And then when you reached out to me and you said you had this product to guide business owners to get clarity to build a business, I honestly, man, I did it just because I was like, all right, man, Primoz, I want to help you out. Let's try to work this thing out. Let's see what happens. And then you put me through this workshop. I believe it was in the beginning of July of last year, or like mid-July last year, where we mapped out where I was, which at the time I had just landed my first client, right? Like I had a client that was making $2,500 a month on something that I had just invented. So I really didn't know what I was going to do. So we talked about it, right? And it was like, I was going to focus on figuring out what I was doing with this guy. And then you helped me map out what the next steps need to be in order to grow to a company that I was proud of, essentially, right?
Exactly. And we clarified your business model as well, and we painted your picture for the future. And I want to share actually the setup that we created at that time. Okay, so as you can see, this was, like you said, the beginning of July or something like that, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 6 months that's passed now, and this was the goal for you to achieve right now in January, okay, of 2020. So tell us how this journey was for you to go from, how it was all for you 6 months ago. What happened then after we planned it all out?
Dude, the first thing that we planned, right? If we go back a little bit more, right? I started in the beginning of 2019 with no plan, right? Like I had just left this company, and we met at a conference when I was in this like 90-day purposeful pause where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, kind of thing, right? Like I had no idea what I was going to end up doing. So I was just kind of like spitballing until I got and I got to this. You know, I knew that I was really good at networking, bringing people together. I knew that I could create community as a value for a company, but I didn't really know what I was selling. And then finally I got this client because the world, you know, the stars all aligned. But I didn't really have a plan of where this thing was going outside of the idea that I'm just like, dude, I know that this is valuable. I know I'm going to be myself. So the first thing that happened was by sitting down with you and going through this process. Like the whole next like 3 weeks, I was just like smiling, telling everybody, I was like, yeah, man, I got a plan to get to like 30 grand a month. This is going to be awesome. Whereas before I was just like telling my mom and my dad, like, oh yeah, I have a client and come on guys, I know what I'm going to do. So the first thing that you gave me was just this like immense clarity, and more than anything, peace of mind that there was something that I was working towards and I wasn't just spinning my wheels. So that was the first takeaway that I got when we went through that exercise. And I'm not sure if I believed everything could happen after we did it, but just the idea that I had a plan for what this was going to look like really completely changed the game for me.
Yeah, exactly. So we set your goals, and we identified your ideal client. We identified your products, your offer that you have. We figured out how are you going to get these clients, things like that. And then it all started kind of working for you, and we didn't step in contact each other, okay, for a while, all right? So a few weeks ago, you texted me and you just told me that it's booming for you, it's happening to you, and you said to me, man, I achieved everything that we planned out at that time and stuff like that. So now when we checked the goals, okay, oh wait, I pressed the wrong button, but as you can see here, it's January 20, and Pablo's got like 4 or 5. How many clients do you have?
It's funny to check these goals, because I thought that I was like right on schedule. I thought that we had said that I was going to be at 6 clients in 6 months, because I kind of remember thinking that I could get a client a month.
Yeah.
And I thought that, you know, I'd be at 10 grand or something like that. But coming back to this is amazing, right? Like I'm looking back, and I right now have 5 clients and I'm at 11 grand a month.
Yeah. So
I overshot it a little bit, which is amazing to see.
Exactly, man. So it's January now, you got your business, and we met last week just to discuss it all, and we created a new plan for you, of course, okay? Because now your product is even more efficient, you are even more into it, you know even more who is your ideal client, because you have learned about your products and all this stuff, okay? So we want to lead you guys through the Pablo's plan for this year and all this stuff, okay, because we want to hit it again.
yeah I mean, I believe it now, man. You know, like the difference between 6 months ago and now is 6 months ago when you were doing it, I was like, all right, Primoz, yeah, cool, bro, this would be awesome if I could get to 30 G's a month. And now I'm like, bro, I want to get to 500,000 by the end of this year. You know,
and we are doing it right, you know, so that's the proof that it all manifested, okay? So we are going to go through this new plan that we created, okay? First of all, Pablo, you will tell us why are you doing it all, okay? So your viewers and your potential clients and all the people can see more about you and understand your business model, and they will identify themselves if you can help them and so on, all right? Yeah. So tell us why do you do it? What's the purpose behind you operating your business?
Yeah, man. Listen, on a very basic level, I've been obsessed with human connection my whole life. And I've just always been somebody that, you know, I'm the most American person in my family. My first memory is like walking into a preschool in the United States and being the only kid that didn't speak English. And I've always like had this like deep desire to connect. And because of that, I have cultivated a very wide network of people my whole life. And now as I get older, I realize that I learn through people, because everybody has something to learn from, right? So this quote that we wrote, every man I meet is in some way my superior, and from that I can learn from him, is a quote from Waldo Emerson that I really, really believe in, right? So take that, and I applied it to business. And what's happening is that, you know, I believe that community creation is the future of business development, right? Like no matter how good your product is, as the world gets more automated and demand gets more automated, people are going to be offered everything that they want all the time, right? Like right now, you and I can be having a conversation about business automation, and there's no doubt in my mind that there's going to be a Facebook ad, and the next time I go to Facebook talking about business automation tools, right? And that's only going to get worse, right? So how do you keep clients is by, if you're able to make clients friends with each other, then they're not going to leave your product. You know, like if you are the center of the community, then they're not going to leave their product, because they can't take their friends to another business. So that is the why for what I'm doing. I really, really believe in this stuff because it's worked for me, and I think it's the most powerful thing in the world.
Yeah. And would you just tell us really quick, how do you help your clients?
So the number one way I help my clients is create a content machine that is based around highlighting their clients, the people in their network, and the people that work for them, and bringing them all together in one place where everybody learns from what you are creating. And the main concept is that you are the stage. Instead of a company being the star of the stage, a company becomes the stage. So therefore, if you're the stage, then the audience is always looking at you, and you just keep bringing people either from the audience or from outside that you want to get close to. And then from that, you chop it up and you distribute it everywhere, and you create these places where they can interact. And that's how you build the community. And the important part is that most business owners that are trying to make content are just sitting there thinking, man, what do I say? What do I say about my business? How can I help people? But if you do it this way, then you're creating content in a flow that
It's
you're
natural.
also, that is natural, that you're also fostering the relationships that you want to be fostering when you're making it, right? So you're not just creating content, you're networking, right?
Of course, man.
And you're just not networking, you are adding value to the people that you bring in to network with. And you're not just adding value to those people, but everybody that learns from those people gets a ton of value. And that is a really great way to build a long, sustainable brand from what I have experienced in my life.
Yeah, and the viewers will understand more about what your real product is after when we reach that topic, okay? Because look, really quickly, guys, I wanted to share you how we created this new model. Okay, so right now here in the middle, me and Pablo were talking about his business why, okay? Because you need to understand your why, and Pablo does understand it, okay? Now we're going to talk about his vision, what are his goals, and because you need to know which way you are moving yourself towards, okay? And you need to understand your ideal client, who do you actually serve, what's their problem, who they are, and so on. What's your offer that you have to offer to that client, and you need to know your marketing channels. How do you reach that client so you can sell to them? Okay, so here we got the sales process. And lastly, when you have all these new clients, you need to understand your financial plan. All right. So Pablo, what's the goal that we have set for you? So we already talked about that we achieved your goal for January 2020, but now we are moving forward. So we got your ultimate goal here that you want to achieve, I think, till the end of this year or something like that.
Yeah, to the end of, now that I see last year's plan to this year's plan, I'm like, man, I think it's small now, right? But like, it's to get to 40 grand a month, which would basically put me at a $500,000 company by the end of this year. It just seems so significant that's what I'm going for right now.
Because how did we come to this goal is, look, you got 5 clients now who are averagely paying you $2,000. So, okay. So we are looking, if we have 5 clients right now, how hard it is for you to get to 15 in 1 year time. Okay. Especially because we talked about our steps of how we're going to do it and how we're going to get these 15 clients. It looks kind of pretty easy, and through our strategic knowledge that we have, we can come there. Like,
and listen, this was really valuable to me, Primoz, because before we did this 3-piece thing, I was just kind of thinking, I mean, it happened last year. It's just going to happen this year, right? Like, I'm just going to get clients. But, really breaking down my process of how I've gotten each client with you, and then how to get more once I get busier was really, really helpful for me to really believe it. Now, I'm honestly, now that it's all clear in my head, I'm thinking that I'm aiming small, right? But like, I'd be very happy if we get these goals.
Exactly. Yeah. So we discussed it this way. Okay. First of all, you will need to nurture your existing 5 clients because you want to keep them. Okay. Then through your organic content strategies of you posting the organic content on social media, you will attract another 10 because you got already a huge network of people who know you and they follow you and they engage with you and you communicate with them through DMs and messages and so on. So you will organically probably get 5 to 10 of clients this year. And then because I came up with this idea of what I'm doing for my clients, we are going to set up the lead generation campaign of you creating an ad, writing that copy, text copy, and we're going to promote that through Facebook ads and Instagram ads or whatever. And people will apply and you will get many new leads, and from that we are counting to get another of course 5 or even more clients if it's going to go really well. From my experiences, okay, it goes very well. Usually when you generate 50 leads, okay, you can get 5 clients or 7 big clients out of that, like almost easily. So that's the goal that we are going to have: organic content and lead generation method. So who is your ideal client now? Because your model changed a little bit and you found out that the first client that you had is actually not your really ideal. client, but then you moved forward, and now you found a few more clients, and now you got better image of who you can serve the most and who actually needs your services the most. So describe us this idea now.
Yeah, man. So my first client is this guy that's pretty famous, and he had built 1 million followers online in 30 days, and then was trying to figure out a way to monetize his audience, right? So we created this community plan for him to have like a recurring revenue service, and it worked okay, but it didn't, it wasn't the perfect fit for him. But what I realized is that what we were doing, right, this whole like interviewing people in your network to put him in front of other people that he really was uncomfortable with, because the people in his network were really, really famous. So he didn't want to do it unless it was a big crowd. What didn't have that big a ROI, and he already had a big content production machine. But what I realized by doing it was that this system is a content production machine. So my next client was somebody that was locally pretty famous, right? Like she's this like steward of the arts in Philadelphia, and she's helped a ton of people, and she's very, very well known, but had very little online presence.
Great.
And bringing this model for her has been extremely valuable, right? Because now she has a place where all of the people that know her or want to get to know her can all congregate online and communicate with each other. And she's got no problem bringing in the people from her network, because the people from her network are like her that don't have a big online imprint. So it's a big, big value add. So my ideal client has become a business that has done a person or a business that's done a lot of good on a local level, that now wants to expand onto a more virtual level and be able to expand their impact across, not just a local community, but across the internet, and grow a following online. And I sum it up by saying it's easier to go from internet famous to in-person valuable. I mean, it's harder to go it's harder to go from internet famous to in-person valuable than in-person valuable to internet famous.
And this is great what you just told me, and it describes the idea of who your ideal client is really well, because with you creating content for them, with them, is amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to get stuck. I mean, and you said it's harder to go from online famous to local successful. Even I'm looking this from my standpoint as well, because I'm usually saying, look, you got to have great local or whatever business foundation before you can promote yourself online, because even if you are great online and you don't know how to monetize it and generate those leads and serve them so they can pay to you're not doing anything at all.
Yeah. If you're not locally famous or locally valuable, right? Like the foundations, everything that you said, if you don't have that already done, then, if you're trying, then if you're internet famous and you're trying to like become locally valuable, what you need to be doing is direct response marketing. If you are locally successful and now what you're looking to do is scale, then you can invest in this brand piece that allows you to scale online and then will eventually monetize long term. You know what I mean? And I actually, it's funny because my original client would say that to people over and over. Like people would be like, oh, I have like 20,000 followers. I want to grow to 40,000 followers. And he's like, are you making money? If you're not making money, then there's no point in growing followers. You need to monetize. Exactly. So like this thing really works for people making money that want to make a bunch more money by growing a big audience, not the other way around.
Great. And how do you serve them? What's your service to these clients that you have now? What are your thoughts on that now?
Yeah, man. I call it BYOC. It's build your own community, right? So the first thing that we decide is where your clientele and your network are going to interact online. And that usually takes the form of a Facebook group, right? I have one client that has their own dashboard inside an app, and it works that way. But it usually takes the form of a Facebook group, right? And then once we design that place where everybody's going to congregate, where that stage is going to be, then we create a plan of, okay, so now, once a week we're going to interview this kind of person. Once a week we're going to interview this kind of person. Once a week this kind of person, and then we create a 3-month plan of the people that we're gonna interview. And then once a week we bring them on. So I just finished for example, I have a new client that we started with yesterday. They're a real estate investment firm. So we're gonna interview the leadership, right? It's a four-person partnership. We're gonna interview team members of theirs, right? People that lead their departments. We're gonna interview their clients, and we're gonna interview people from the local Jacksonville network, because this is a Jacksonville real estate investment. So you want to know that Jacksonville is doing well. So the content is then made to say, okay, you're investing money with us, but you're safe investing money with us because the leadership of this company is brilliant. Everybody that works here is really dedicated. This market has a bunch of like smart business people that are taking it the right way. So your real estate investment is going to do well in this market. And oh, by the way, look at all the other clients that do this. They're all really fascinating people.
Like social proof.
Social proof, right? But the content's about them, right? The content's about like, we brought on this lady, Whitney Ritchie, who has built this like amazing insurance agency, and she's like a dynamo and a great networker and super affable. And we talk about her business and her hiring practices and how she started the business and then got pregnant and then she had to figure it out. And then at the end we talk about, so what's your investment strategy? Like, what else do you invest in? Whatever. She's like, oh man, well, I invest in all these other things, but there's nothing like this JWB investment. Right. So,
yeah.
And then we take those interviews and we chop them up. Right. So yesterday we shot 8 interviews, and each interview is going to be 2 videos. It's going to be 10 videos, 10 like 3 to 5 minute videos, 5 quote cards, and a blog post. Right. So then all that stuff gets trickled out for the next 2 months. So now we have, 60 days of content based on 8 hours of content production.
Amazing. It's very good idea. You get out of those people that you work with the best, so they share with you the value and you produce it. Mm-hmm. I mean you distribute it online to other people to see it, and so they can engage with that content and so on. So amazing idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we understand how do you serve clients. Okay, can you summarize it again? Okay, so you produce the content for these business owners,
listen, man. We essentially create the Oprah TV show, right? Like, it's just like bringing in interesting people to talk about them, and then therefore on in front of an audience that then creates pillar content that gets distributed out by highlighting the people around them that give them credibility because of all the extraordinary people around them.
Yeah, very good. And we already talked about it, the channels of how we're going to reach your new clients.
Well, listen, man, that was interesting to me too, right? Like, I'd like to dive into the value of this, because at first I was like, well, I'm making content and I'm going to conferences, and you're going to do some ads for me, and then that's going to translate whatever. But laying this out really made it clear, in the sense that in reality, what happens is people meet me in person, and then they follow my content. And once they follow my content for a little while, then they're like, shit, I need to be doing this. And then they go try and make content, and they're like, I don't know what to say when I make content. So maybe I need to talk to Pablo about doing the content for me. And then it pops. So then it made very clear to me that my life cycle of acquiring a customer is, I need to invest in going to conferences and networking so that people meet me face to face and they like me, they want to follow me online. Then the process starts, right? Not the other way around. It's not like I'm normally not getting clients that just show up out of nowhere from the internet. They all actually know me when they reach out to me.
It's easier process.
Yeah.
If you already met them.
Yeah. And it allowed me to just make my year more organized, right? Like, I was like, okay, so then I need to go to this conference, and this conference, and not just be thinking about other stuff. Good.
Yes. So we oh my gosh, again, wrong button. So we already talked about the channels, how we're going to reach to get another 15 clients. All right. So we might skip this. And can you describe us a little bit more? If you meet somebody and you need to describe yourself, what are you doing, and what's your process to get them to become your client? You already told us this. You meet people face to face, they follow you online, and then you probably chat. This is the usual process, but what would you say to somebody really quickly to explain them
Yeah, this is my hook, man. This is how I get their attention for them to first even decide that they want to follow me, right? The first thing when people, you're out networking, people are like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? And people, people like to give very standard answers. The first thing I say is, oh, I'm an audience cultivation strategist. And then because I say something so unique, they're like, huh, what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So then I say, oh, well, I design and execute content creation plans that nurture your existing clientele, attract new clients, and create a community around your business without you having to think about it. And that part, that without you having to think about it, is the key part, because everybody's pain point is, they all know they need content. They all know that they have amazing people around them, but business leaders spend way too much time thinking about what to say in front of a camera to make content when they should be just running their business. So taking the what do I have to think about to look good on camera is really the pain point that I'm solving, and that's when their eyes open up.
Yeah, and how do you qualify somebody so you know if they're the right fit to work with you?
It's kind of the things that we just said, plus adding the fact that, oh yeah, I believe in this content thing, right? Like they have to believe in the fact that content is cash, and if they believe in that, they're like, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of Gary Vee. I'm trying to do what he's doing, or they're in that space where they're trying to have a social presence and they just haven't connected the dots on how to do it. That's the first step. And then the next step that's very powerful is if they've actually tried. If they've actually tried putting out content and just been like, I got burned out because I just spend 20 hours a week looking at my phone and feeling like an idiot, then I know that that's a good client. And then the third step is that what we just talked about, right? Like if they have a way to monetize this thing or something that they're building towards, like if they're about to publish a book, this is a great strategy, right? Like, because you can bring in 1,000 people and like get them close to each other, and then all of a sudden you launch your book and everybody's buying it and everybody's like sending you pictures of it online, stuff like that. Yeah.
So do you need to promise your potential client any of direct results, or what's your kind of hook or a promise what you're going to do to them or something? I mean, because in my case, I promise to people to get new leads, get new sales, and I help them to improve their business performance and stuff like that. So what's your that value proposition to them?
I stay away from that. That's why I need them to know that they want to be making content and they can't figure it out, right? Because my first thing is like, listen, and I tell them it's a ready, fire, aim methodology. I don't know if you've ever read that book, but it's like this business book that talks about the best way to move through business is that you get a little bit ready, then you fire, and then you start aiming, right? So I tell them that that's the methodology, and I tell them that what's going to happen is the first thing we're going to do is those 10 to 20 hours a week that you were thinking about making content and not posting it and doing all this stuff, that's going to go away. So you are now going to have an extra 10 to 20 hours a week to work on your business. So that's your first return on investment. Then we're going to be making all this content and you're going to be forging all these new relationships, and you're going to learn a lot more about your clientele, which is going to lead to a whole bunch of opportunities, regardless of what we're doing. And then, as we start aiming better, this thing at a certain point is going to hit, right? So they have to trust that.
That was a really good value that you just shared. The first two steps were amazing.
Thank you.
That was really good. So you're going to save them time anyway, so they don't need to produce this on their own because you're going to take care of it. And you are going to reach so many new opportunities to get opportunities with this content. So that's a good value proposition.
Yeah. So yesterday at this production shoot, I'm with the CEO of this real estate investment fund, bringing in these high level people from his network that he's known for 10 years. And after each conversation, he's like, man, I didn't know this about Rory. I didn't know this about Whitney. Like when you interview people, you get to know them on a deep level, right? Like most conversations you have with someone are very at the surface, but when you're really trying to like figure out what makes them tick and what makes them special, you create these very special relationships. So just yesterday in that 8 hours, he like looked at me, he was like, dude, I totally see the value in all of this. This is amazing. It was a really cool experience.
Nice, man. Perfect. Yeah, and let's cover the last kind of part so we can conclude and just say a few more things after. The financial plan, okay, of yours that we planned out, because you're going to be making 14K a month. So how are you going to distribute all the income to cover your expenses, and where will the money go and things like that?
Yeah, man. Again, this was super valuable, right? Because right now where I'm at, I'm trying to just break even on as much as possible. And because I've built a business around doing what I like doing, which is making friends with people, making them friends with each other. So a lot of my lifestyle costs go into my business, right? So I don't need to pay myself a lot in order to reduce my tax base. But as it grows, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. So sitting down with you and going through, okay, well, if I can take out 5K a month, that's literally just going to go into my bank account. We broke down the salaries of the people I need underneath me in order to scale, so that it's not just me doing everything, which I'm beyond that point now, right? Like I have a couple people doing some other things, but I need more. Then
And with this, most of it will be automized. So
yeah. With that, most of it will be done. And really, I just need to show up and be the person that moderates the interviews and then kind of gives the strategy overall, which is my goal. And then the marketing piece was great because now I know what it'll take to get somebody like you to run Facebook ads for me and spend that money to bring in those extra leads whenever, I'm not able to travel to go to conferences. And, again, we broke down the simple utilities. I hadn't even thought about taxes, right? So to think that I have to take 10K off the top for tax is like a kick in my balls, but like it's necessary. And, that still leaves me with a business that will be netting $6,500 a month. That again, if I want to pay myself, fine. But like right now I just, leased a car under the company cash flow, right? Like that's just company expense, but I have a new car and I'm going to LA for 11 days to see a bunch of friends and do a bunch of cool shit, but it's a company expense, right? So like all that stuff is, all that stuff is adding value to my life while I am building up a big cash reserve inside a company so that by next year, I have 80 G's in the bank that don't have to do with cash flow, that I can make it through any kind of like down cycle or anything like that, or pay myself.
yeah, great. See, so the vision comes all together now, and all you have to do is just keep helping your existing clients and get some new on board, and create content, connect, interact. I can see a lot of more of your posts now online, Instagram, Facebook, and so you're doing it all the right way, and you're expanding your network online as well.
Yeah, that's super valuable, right? Like I'm like networking up, right? Like every step I take is moving closer and closer to hanging out with Gary Vee.
That's your goal.
Legit, bro, legit, right? Like I want Gary Vee to be like Pablo was my greatest disciple. Like I really want him to say.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You can do that. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
I believe it, man.
Of course, man. Because it can happen just like that, Very good. Any last words? How do we conclude this? I already told most of it, just progressive work, and we'll come there to the end of this year.
Yeah.
We can achieve these things,
Yeah, man. Listen, bro, my last words are just thanking you, man. Like I really, even right now, we went over this kind of plan last week and it was still just kind of sinking in still, even though like I knew what I wanted out of this, but doing it again, like right now, it just seems so. The first time we did this was the first time I ever believed that, I didn't even believe it back then. Right. But like, it was like, I saw what could happen. Then it happened. And now like I'm sitting down with you again and the inspiration, the clarity, man, the taking away the anxiety that just hangs over your head as an entrepreneur, that you don't know where you're going. And should I just go get a job? And should I blah, blah, blah. And are my parents right from 2 years ago that I'm being crazy and I shouldn't just go be working for somebody else? Like this stuff really, really helps shut off all that noise and teach you exactly where you need to be going and let you move, man. So I really, really appreciate your help on this, man. Like it's been very, very valuable for me.
Yeah, man. I remember the first time, that time when we planned this out, the next time when we met on a group call, you gave the best testimonial, and I think I should include that testimonial in this video, because I think you said you slept the best these past nights ever for after a few months or something.
Legit, bro. I slept the best. My wife was more attracted to me. Like, I was,
you were like, I'm on the top.
Yeah, and that's how I feel again right now, man. So this is awesome, man.
Yeah, man. So good. Thanks for this call, Pablo. I mean, we planned it out, and with you achieving your goals, you are going to pull me forward as well. I mean, we can go step by step, helping each other. I mean, you know that I'm on. I posted the picture today on Facebook that I have just conquered and achieved the top of my mountain. All right, you need to check that picture, by the way.
Okay, I'm gonna check it.
So, yeah, and my premium life project is ready. My local business is ready. So I feel the same way as you feel right now. Okay. At the beginning of something really great. I mean, we are both already doing very well. I mean, both of us are controlling our own destiny, having our own clients, doing all this stuff. So this is like the amazing stepping stone to show to everybody else that they need to engage and listen of what we got to say, and everybody else that's ahead of us got to say, and just do the work and do the right things.
Agreed, bro.
Okay.
Good ending.
So let's see what's going to happen in this next year. We'll see you soon, and have a great, beautiful day.
You too, bro. Have a great weekend, man. Yeah.
See you, Pablo. Bye.